We just got back from a 7-day cruise aboard Norwegian Aqua. This was our 150th cruise. So what do we think? Hey cruisers, welcome back to Cruise Report. Today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about our experience aboard Norwegian Aqua. Now this is NCL's newest ship. It's in that Prima Viva class, Norwegian Aqua. I think it holds around 3,500 people. This is not going to be a ship tour. There are a lot of other YouTubers out there that have done, deck by deck ship tours and cabin tours and all that. That's not what this video is going to be, because there's so much good content out there already. There's no reason for us to reinvent the wheel. What this is going to do is to give you our experience aboard Norwegian Aqua. And every time we go on a cruise, we're kind of asking the question, is this a good ship for adult couples traveling as a couple, not with a family? And so that's kind of the angle of this video and our whole YouTube channel. Honestly, we really are focusing on cruises and experiences that are a good fit for adult couples traveling as a couple. So that's the overall or the overreaching theme of this video. Just right up front, I'll tell you everything that we experienced that we thought was great. And if there's something we didn't like, I'll tell you about it. Now, just for full disclosure, we are cruise journalists, and we often are invited on cruise ships by the cruise lines to review their ships. And they pay for our cruise. We don't have to pay for the cruise. Sometimes they pay for our air. Sometimes we pay for the air. It just depends on the cruise line and the situation. A lot of times we get invited on 2 or 3 day kind of a fam trip where they invite media and or travel agents on board. We tend to avoid those types of cruises because in 2 or 3 days, we just can't see enough of a ship, especially a ship like this, to give you a fair evaluation. And also, over the years, we've noticed that when you're on one of these 2 or 3 day trips for travel agents and media, they do a lot of things for travel agents and media that they don't do for a normal guest or passenger. So, yeah, it's not really an opportunity. It's good if you want to just do a ship tour, but if you really want to review the experience, you have to go on a regular cruise as a guest. Just for full disclosure, we paid for this cruise. Paid for our own air, we paid for the cruise. We have no connection on this cruise with anybody from the media department at Norwegian or NCL. Before I get into Embarkation, let me tell you first about the documentation that we got from NCL. I looked through the documentation the morning that we were supposed to embark the ship, and I was trying to find out where exactly is the ship going to be docked. It gave an address, but it didn't tell me the terminal number or terminal B. I couldn't find that. Maybe it was in there and I just missed it. Maybe I overlooked it, but if you're going to be on Norwegian Aqua and you're going out of the NCL terminal in Miami, it is Terminal B. Our boarding time was between 11 and 11:30 a.m. In Fort Lauderdale, they have lighted signs saying, this ship is at this terminal, this ship is over here. They don't do that in Miami. You just have to know where you're going. So fortunately, our Lyft driver was able to stop and ask one of the security people which terminal we were in, and she told us, and we got there. We get there about 11:10. Porter met us. He took our bags. We had no idea where to go. he kind of pointed in the direction of the terminal building, but when we approached the terminal building, there were two or three different lines of people lined up, and we didn't know. So we got in one of the lines, and then somebody came out and pointed, "No, you're in the wrong place." I don't know what those people were in line for. And we went around the building and went into another entrance. I saw a sign for the Haven, which we were not in the Haven, and there was somebody there that said, "Go this way." So we did. I mean, we breezed in. Embarkation was one of the easiest embarkations we've ever done, probably the easiest on a ship this size. And then we thought, okay, once we get through security, they're going to make us sit in a big room and wait till noon or 12:30 to board the ship, because there is a big room with a lot of chairs. But no, they just said, go this way, and we walked right on board. We were on board the ship by 11:30. So embarkation was handled very efficiently, very smoothly. We really liked that. Our staterooms were not supposed to be ready till about 3 o'clock. So we decided we were going to try to get restaurant reservations. We already knew what restaurants we wanted to go to, but we needed to make our reservations because you couldn't make them online. We booked maybe 6 or 8 weeks before the cruise, and every time we went online it said you can't. They basically were sold out for what they book online. Fortunately, as we were going through an elevator lobby, one of the crew members said, "Are you looking for reservations?" And I thought she was talking about the reservations desk or guest services or something like that, but then I realized, oh, she meant restaurant reservations. I said, yes. And she pointed us to go to the theater. Thankfully, she directed us to the right place. We go in there, and then there's this long line of people lined up, and there was really nobody there telling you, directing you where to go. We finally went up and talked to a lady sitting at a desk, and she told us where to go. Anyway, other than that, though, it went okay. We got the reservations done. That went very good. We got everything we wanted. That was taken care of. We had a little bit of a chance. We wanted to go have lunch in the main dining room, which is called Hudson's. It's at the very back of the ship. There are 2 main dining rooms, but only one was open for lunch on Embarkation Day. And the reason we did that is because most people on Embarkation Day go to the buffet, and it's super chaotic. And we didn't realize at the time how chaotic the buffet on this ship could really be. We'll talk about that a little bit later. So we went to the main dining room. It was very nice. We had a nice table for 2, sitting right by the window. We could see Miami. But the service on Embarkation lunch was really not that good. They didn't give us a menu when they seated us. We sat there for maybe 20 minutes waiting for someone to bring us a menu. Finally, Ricky got the attention of one of the restaurant managers, and we told her we don't have a menu, so she was a little surprised by that. She brought us menus, and then we had a waiter come over and take our order. But the service was very slow, very spotty. But it wasn't a great first impression as far as the service. We left the dining room. We thought, well, let's go check in at our muster station, because they were making announcements about mustering. All you had to do is scan your key card, which we had already received when we checked in at the terminal. That went very fast. They said, go back to your stateroom. When your stateroom's ready, watch the video, the safety video, and then there'll be a bunch of announcements, and that's really it. It was very simple. The muster, there really was no mustering. So overall, Embarkation, I would say, was good. It was easy, it was simple, it was pretty fast. Our rooms were ready around 2 o'clock instead of 3 o'clock. It probably took another hour for our luggage to arrive, and we met our stateroom attendant. He came in, greeted us, nice guy. Let's talk about the ship, the layout and the decor of the ship. Like I said, this ship holds about 3,500 people. This is what you would consider today a large ship. I wouldn't call it a mega ship. Mega ship, those are the 8,000 plus whatever guest capacity. This is more along the lines of the Edge class ships of Celebrity as far as the capacity. The ship is still large. It's very large. Lots of deck space, lots of facilities. I felt like the ship layout was very good. I thought it was designed well. I like the decor. It's very contemporary, very understated, especially for NCL from what we remember in the past. And like I say, it's been a while since we've been on NCL. But it was very classy, a very classy looking ship. And I think very conducive to adult couples, you know, that sort of vibe. It didn't have the glitz and the like you would find on MSC or Carnival. It was much more subdued and much classier, a very elegant feeling and looking ship. And very easy, I thought, to get around. They do have the traditional elevators. They don't have those new elevators where you tell it what floor you want to go to and it tells you what elevator to get in. These are just the standard old push the button and wait for the elevator. But they had a bank of 8 elevators and they were very fast and they're very large. They held quite a few people. And we really never had to wait on an elevator until Disembarkation. And I'll tell you a little secret on Disembarkation, what to do if you're on a deck like we were. Now, they do have a promenade deck of sorts. It's called Ocean Walk. It does go around the entire ship. And it also serves as outdoor seating for some of the restaurants on Deck 8. And there are also some infinity pools and some other, lots of loungers and outdoor seating on this deck. So when it's crowded on a sea day, if you're walking like we do, we like to go walk every day, get our steps in. You have to navigate through people wandering around and standing or getting to their pool chair. So, you know, it's not a traditional promenade deck like you might find on Holland America. There's a thing called Ocean Boulevard, and I'm not sure what the difference is between Ocean Boulevard and Ocean Walk. I suspect Ocean Boulevard has something to do with maybe the outdoor seating of the restaurants, but I'm not sure about that. I never could really find an answer to that. They also have a Vibe Beach Club. If you are a sun lover and you don't mind paying a little extra, they have this private adult-only area called Vibe Beach Club. It's pretty expensive, I think. It's a couple of $100 a week. You do get nicer lounge chairs. There are some padded loungers. However, there are a few padded loungers aft on Deck 8. You'd have to get there early. For some reason, there's a little section right behind the Soleil, am I saying that right? Soleil bar. And there are some padded sun loungers there. The rest of them are not. The rest of them are just some sort of a mesh, nylon, or whatever it is, mesh. And then you also have the Haven, which is kind of a ship within a ship concept for NCL. They have their own lounge, they have their own restaurant, and you have some other benefits if you're staying in the Haven. We did look at upgrading to the Haven, but it was just ridiculously expensive. And even if you're in the Haven, you don't get free Wi-Fi, you didn't get gratuities, you didn't get the drink package. So all you're really getting is this private area, access to the private Haven deck, access to the Haven restaurant. But from what we could find from other videos on YouTube, the Haven restaurant is really basically just a main dining room, but for the Haven. It just didn't seem like the value was there. We've stayed in the Retreat on Celebrity back in the day, where when you stayed in the Retreat, you got free drinks, you got Wi-Fi, you got gratuities, and they've taken all that away now. Cruising is just not quite as good a value now as it was 3 or 4 years ago. The cruise lines are full, the ships are full, and they're taking advantage of it by they're charging more money and they're taking away services. So that's just the way it is. Okay, when we talk about the accommodations on Norwegian Aqua, we were staying in a forward-facing club balcony suite. I have to think about this because it's long. It's a mouthful. And so it's at the very front of the ship. Now, I have a video where I talk about this in great detail. I'll put a link up in this video if you want to go watch it. Again, there are other videos on YouTube that really go into great detail of all the different categories of staterooms. They'll take you on a tour of all the staterooms. We did have a great stateroom attendant, Dominic. When we checked in, we did not have sun loungers on our extra large balcony, which NCL does show on their website. And so we asked him if he could bring us sun loungers for our balcony. We had a couple of chairs and a table, but that was it. He brought us 2 sun loungers. Ricky also wanted some additional hangers. He brought us extra hangers. There was a couple of other things. She has some eye drops that have to stay cold or frozen when we travel. He actually brought us this little cooler to the room. I've never seen this before in any cruise line. It's a little miniature refrigerator, kind of super cool. And she put her eye drops in there and it kept him cold. I think they use it for insulin is what most people use it for, but he brought that to us and it worked great. Our cabin came with this More at Sea, which was 150 minutes of Wi-Fi. Their standard Wi-Fi, not the high-end Wi-Fi. I think they have 3 levels of Wi-Fi. And I have to have fast Wi-Fi because I post videos or pictures on Instagram. I upload videos to YouTube. So I had to upgrade to the streaming Wi-Fi, which was an extra $179 for the week, which I think is outrageously expensive, especially since they only let you use it on one device. So if I'm using it on my phone and I want to go use my laptop, I had to log out on the phone and then I had to go over to the laptop. It wouldn't, in other words, if I'm on the laptop, I couldn't log the phone out from there. I had to go to the phone, log it out, go to the laptop, log in. You know, for $179, they should provide at least 2 devices, in my opinion. But that's, you know, I think a lot of the cruise lines are doing this now. Like I say, they're taking advantage because they can. The Wi-Fi performance was adequate. It wasn't great. Wasn't as good as the hotel we were staying in, obviously. Even though it's Starlink, we got by fine. I was actually able to upload a couple of YouTube videos. Took an hour or 2 to upload them, but I've been on ships where it took 7 or 8 hours to upload a video. So I've seen worse, a lot worse. NCL probably has some of the best entertainment at sea that we've seen. We saw some shows on this cruise that was some of the best shows we'd ever seen. One of them was Revolution, which is kind of a show about Prince. Probably one of the best features of the shows on Norwegian Aqua was the theater itself. It's not a huge theater, but it's extremely well designed. There's really not a bad seat in the theater. And the lighting and the staging and the set design, the costumes, the sound system, the acoustics, everything about this theater really is state of the art. Rumors was another show we saw, which was a Fleetwood Mac. Maybe the best, certainly the best musical act show we've ever seen on a cruise ship. It was absolutely amazing. Now, they had some other entertainment on the ship that we didn't get to see. We didn't get to go to any of the comedy shows, which is bad on us. I wish we had gone to a couple. They had a lot of comedy on board the ship, both in the main theater, and they do have a comedy club on board the ship, and I wish we had gone to that. They have an improv club. They also have Sid Norman, what they call the Sid Norman Poorhouse, and they do like rock and roll music along with it. It's kind of a music bar scene. Looked like it'd probably be a lot of fun, but they didn't open until fairly late for us. And it looked like it might be a good place to go to. There are tons of entertainment on Norwegian Aqua, so you're not going to be bored for sure, especially in the evenings on Norwegian Aqua. Now, they also had a lot of activities during the day and in the evenings. We played trivia a few times, but they have a lot of other games. They have a lot of stuff going on out of the pool. For activities, outdoors, this is really an outdoor focused ship. They've got slides, water slides. They have a thing called the Aqua Coaster, which you kind of sit in this little boat looking thing and it kind of shoots you up like a roller coaster and then you go through the slide. It looked pretty cool. I didn't do it because I forgot my swimsuit. I forgot to pack my swimsuit. 150 cruises. You'd think I would have remembered to pack a swimsuit, but I didn't. I forgot. They also have something called the Drop, which is another slide, but it's a dry slide. You slip inside this sack thing that so your clothes are not exposed to the slide. And it's just a dry slide that goes from deck 18 or 19 all the way down to deck 8. We're planning to go back on another Prima-class or Viva-class, I don't know what class it is, ship in January of 2027, and I will definitely do the Drop, and I will definitely do the Aqua Coaster on that cruise. I will remember my swimsuit. They do have a pretty good casino on board the ship. A lot of table games, lots of card games. They have a craps table. They have a smoking only room for slot machines, and they have a high limit room. We played some of the regular slot machines. We didn't do very good. We made our donation. It didn't let us play very long either, so wasn't a very good experience for the casino for us. They have an amazing fitness center up on deck 16 forward. Beautiful fitness center, very well equipped, tons of cardio gear, lots of treadmills, lots of free weights. They have the techno gym, circuit training machines. They also have mini golf, and they have a bunch of games, outdoor games like ping pong and all kinds of little table games outdoors on deck 18. But they also have a thing called the game zone for those of you with kids. We're, like I say, we don't travel with kids, so it's not important to us. But this huge arcade on deck 17, deck 17 forward, and it's this massive arcade with every kind of arcade game you can imagine. So if you're into arcades, you're going to love it. If you have kids, you're going to go broke because they're going to probably spend all your money in the arcade, but that's okay. Now, Ricky and I are not what you would call heavy drinkers. We don't stay up late and drink a lot. We might have a glass of wine with lunch. We might have a couple of cocktails before dinner, and that's usually about it for us. But we did find our favorite bar. Here at the entrance of my favorite bar on the ship. This is the Metropolitan Bar, and let's take a look around. This is the best place to get your Crown Royal or any other drink you want. Over here, there's Cagney Steakhouse. If you like steak, this is the place to go. And this is the Metropolitan Bar. This is where Ricky and I come almost every evening to have a cocktail. And this is located on deck 7, right across from Cagney's restaurant. If you're going to go to dinner at Cagney's, you would probably have your drink there. Our second favorite was probably the Belvedere. I think it was on deck 8. Then there's the Penrose Bar on deck 6. That bar got a little noisy and a little raucous. The Soleil Bar, I know I'm not saying that right, but it's on deck 8 aft outside. The Waves Pool Bar, which is on deck 17. And then there's the Observation Lounge, which is probably our second favorite bar would be the Observation Lounge. It does in the evenings have a full bar. There's a lot of seating. It's a beautiful lounge, lots of beautiful views of the ocean. As far as the service in the bars, it was all over the place. We had some waiters and waitresses, especially in the Manhattan bar, that were very good, very attentive. They came around regularly to see if we needed another drink. They kept an eye on us. Even when they were busy, they did a good job. Penrose Bar, not so much. Belvedere, not so much. Most of the time at the Penrose and at Belvedere, I actually had to go up to the bar and place an order and take the drinks back to our table. So the Manhattan bar was the only bar where we felt like the service was really good. Even in the Observation Lounge, I would have to go up to the bar. But if you want the best service, go to the Manhattan bar. In my opinion, that was the best service as far as the bars. Now, one thing I saw on this cruise that I don't recall ever seeing on 150 cruises, and I saw it many, many times, and that was people giving the bartenders cash tips. They'd get their drink, and then they would give $1 or $2 to the bartender. In fact, they even had a little thing up there with cash in it. I don't ever remember seeing that on a cruise line. Is this a new thing? I don't remember ever seeing that on a cruise. Let me know in the comments down below. Is this something that you do? When you order a drink and you pay $15 or $17 for the drink, do you also tip? Because I think there's gratuity included in the price of the drink. There are two types of dining on Norwegian Aqua. There's included dining that's included in the price of your cruise, and then there's specialty dining. And Norwegian Aqua gives you a lot of options in both categories. First, we're going to talk about what's included in the price of your cruise. Number one, you've got the buffet. It's up on deck 17. So this is the ship's buffet area. It's closed right now, but you can see you've got those amazing views when you enjoy food at the buffet. It's almost time for the sun to set here in the Caribbean, and they have a lot to eat here at this buffet. It's pretty extensive, and it is what I would call a small buffet. It's only a single serving line. It gets very crowded in there during peak periods. I don't know where you're supposed to start. I don't know if the line begins in the front or in the back. There's no clear directions. Which is not uncommon for cruise ship buffets. It's chaos. The food selection, I'd say, was good. The food quality was, I thought, good for a buffet. Ricky and I are not big buffet fans because we don't like self-serve buffets where you have to grab the tongs and that everybody else's mitts have been on. So we're not big fans of buffets for that main reason. If they served the food to you, that's different. Then buffet food can be decent. The food itself was pretty good, actually. There like any buffet, there's always some things that are really good and some things are really average. The pizza was very good. We ate it fresh, right out of the oven. Sometimes they have the panini, which is kind of a thick crust pizza. Very good. They have a pasta station. They have a lot of Asian dishes. They have a noodle bar where you can get noodle dishes, which is pretty creative. Now, the second place would be your main dining room. There is the Hudson's, which is the largest of the two main dining rooms. It's at the aft on deck 7. Beautiful dining room. We did have, like I said, a kind of a negative experience there on Embarkation Day for lunch. The only other time we ate at Hudson's was on Disembarkation. We went there for breakfast. Actually, we went one other day for breakfast. Our breakfast service in the middle of the cruise at Hudson's was much better. They had much more staff in there. Service was much better. But still, things come out slow. And sometimes you order something and it doesn't come at all. Ricky ordered a fruit bowl one day for breakfast and it never showed up. We had to ask again to have it sent to the table. Just a lot of little hiccups like that. Nothing major. The food at breakfast was pretty good in the main dining room. We were pretty happy with the quality of the food. The other main dining room is the Commodore. I don't know if it's called the Commodore room or the Commodore dining room. It's down on deck 6. And it's not open for breakfast every day, but it is open for dinner every day and maybe open for lunch. I didn't pay attention because we never went in there. The most creative dining area on the ship is the Indulge food hall. This is the one everybody talks about. It's kind of like a bunch of food trucks or food stalls. It's a cool concept. You sit down at a table, you've got this little iPad thing on the table, you place your order, and you can order from, 6 or 7 different restaurant types. You have a barbecue place, you have an Indian restaurant, you have a Mexican restaurant, you have a tapas restaurant, you have seaside rotisserie restaurant. There's several different ones. And you can order different items from different kitchens, I guess you would call it. They just bring it out to your table. So you can order if you want Mexican and I want Indian food. Doesn't matter. You can mix and match. It's a very interesting concept. They're also open for breakfast at the Indulge Food Hall, but it's mostly just a breakfast buffet. It's nothing special. But at lunch and dinner, you can order from these various venues. Some of the food was very good. For example, the guac that I ordered from the Mexican place, excellent, really good guacamole. The Indian food dishes were exceptionally good, especially at night. They even have naan bread. They actually have tandoor ovens. Really impressive. So we tried a variety of dishes in the Indulge Food Hall, and I think there's a lot of people who probably go there every night for dinner if they wanted to. They're mostly small portions, so people will order a lot of different things. I really liked the Indulge Food Hall, and I think it's a great concept. It's one they could expand on if they so chose. And the last included dining that I'm going to talk about is the local. Now, the local is on a lot of NCL ships. On this ship, the port side is the local restaurant, and on the starboard side, it's the local bar. Now, if you go to the bar, there is a little snack menu. You can get a few things there, little finger foods. But if you go to the restaurant, they actually have a menu. You can have breakfast in there. I would have breakfast in the local most days. Also, lunch. You can have lunch. They have a lunch menu with burgers and sandwiches and things. We did not have dinner in the local, but we did have breakfast and lunch there. And one evening, we were on the bar side of the local, and I ordered the chicken wings. And I've heard about these chicken wings on other YouTube videos, how good they are. And boy, they're not kidding. Those were the best wings I think I've ever had anywhere. Exceptionally good. I got them with the sweet Thai chili sauce. That's the first thing I'm going to order when I go back on one of this class of ships, or back to a NCL ship with the local, is I'm going to get those wings with that sweet chili sauce. I also had a cheeseburger one day at the local for lunch. Honestly, I always compare cheeseburgers from one cruise ship to the other. The French fries were okay. The burger was okay. It wasn't anything memorable, but it was a good burger. That was it. The only real complaint we had with the local was in the morning when I would have breakfast there. They never came around to refill my coffee. I always had to ask them to bring coffee to the table. And if you're a coffee drinker like me, you don't want to have to sit there and wait for 10 minutes to get a refill on your coffee. So that would be my only complaint about the local, is they didn't do a good job of bringing coffee. Now, while we're talking about coffee, you can also get coffee out of these machines that kind of just dispense coffee. Not the best coffee. They have one in the observation lounge. They have one in the buffet. They have one, I think they have one even at Indulge Food Hall. There also is a Starbucks on board if you don't mind paying an outrageous price for a cup of bilge water. I don't like Starbucks, but some people love it. They love Starbucks. I don't like strong, dark roast coffee, but a lot of people do, and they line up at 6:30 every morning at that Starbucks on deck 7. Okay, let's talk about the specialty restaurants. Now, you pay extra, anywhere from $40 per person to $60 per person to eat at these specialty dining venues. Very expensive in my opinion. I can remember when specialty dining on a cruise ship, you paid an extra $15 or $20, maybe $25 per person. Those days are over. Cruise lines have really started charging. And $60 per person. Ricky and I rarely ever go out to dinner locally in Dallas and spend $120 on dinner. We just don't do it. But we could go to a very nice prime steakhouse here in Dallas, and for $120 to $140, we could have a wonderful killer steak dinner. We did buy the specialty dining package, which was $60 per person. That gave us 3 specialty dinings. That's $20 per person per restaurant. I think that's a fair price. I thought that was a pretty good deal, so we bought it. We booked Cagney's, we booked the Thai restaurant Sukhothai, and we booked the Teppanyaki restaurant, which is Hasuki. Cagney's I've heard about for years. I've been reading about it on Cruise Crick. We've never eaten at a Cagney's. We've been on 2 or 3 NCL cruises, but we've never eaten at Cagney's. And I've always heard what a great steakhouse it is. It's the best steak. It's the best this. It's the best that. We were very disappointed. We ate there the very first night, and I thought, this is good. We'll be there on day 1, so they probably got provisioning. They got new, fresh steaks in. We won't be, at the end of the cruise where you're getting whatever's left. We're going to be getting the best of the best. I think there were some still left over from the previous cruise because our steaks were not that good. Ricky's filet, first of all, was way overcooked. She ordered it medium. I think she ordered it medium or medium rare, and it came out medium well. It was almost well done. So she had to send it back and have it redone. When it came back the second time, it was cooked properly, but it was kind of tough. And you don't hardly ever see a filet that's chewy. I had the ribeye, which was cooked perfectly. Mine was cooked perfectly medium. But once you get past the rib cap, the rest of the steak was dry. It was a little tough and kind of dry. I didn't even finish it. And I love steak. I'm a steak eater. I thought the steak on Crown Grill on Princess was much better. I thought the steak at Pinnacle Grill on Holland America was much better. Certainly the steak on Viking at Manfredi's, that's the best steak on any cruise ship. And the steak on Celebrity, I had a prime New York strip that was out of this world. Not that impressed with Cagney's our first time around. Now, there also was a grilled bacon appetizer. Basically, it was pork belly, but it's a thick, 1.5-inch thick piece of bacon, basically, that's grilled. And they served it with a steak sauce, what they called a house-made steak sauce. Well, the steak sauce, turns out, was really shrimp cocktail sauce like you get in a shrimp cocktail. And Ricky got the shrimp cocktail, which had cocktail sauce, and it tasted like the exact same sauce to me. There was a lady next to me that ordered the exact same appetizer, and I asked her, because I thought, well, maybe they accidentally put cocktail sauce in this ramekin by mistake because it didn't taste anything like steak sauce. And I asked her, same thing. She said, no, it tastes like cocktail sauce. Come on, NCL, you can do better than that. I don't even know if it needed a sauce. I thought the bacon itself was pretty good on its own. I love pork belly. Now, Ricky also had the shrimp cocktail. She thought the shrimp was a little stringy. Just not great. Not the best shrimp cocktail she's had, for sure. You guys tell me in the comments down below, what has your experience been at Cagney's? Because I know a lot of people out there that rave about Cagney's, but based on our first experience, we wouldn't go back. And if we had spent $60 per person for that meal, I would have felt cheated. Later in the cruise, we went to Sukhothai, which is their Thai restaurant, and that was a completely different experience. It was the best meal we had the entire week. The Thai food was pretty authentic. The shrimp appetizer, the tempura shrimp, was some of the best you're going to find anywhere. The spring rolls were good. The papaya salad was good. We shared a lot of the different dishes, and then we each had a main course. And then we finished the meal with the mango with sticky rice, and that was very good. It wasn't traditional like we've had in the past, but it was still good. It was still very good. We really enjoyed our meal at Sukhothai. That'll be the first specialty restaurant we book when we go back on one of these ships. Our third specialty restaurant experience was Hasuki, which is their teppanyaki restaurant where they cook everything at the table. It's noisy, it's chaotic, it's fun, it's a celebration. Place is massive. I've never seen a teppanyaki restaurant with this many serving tables at the same time. There were 6 people at our table. I think it holds 8, but there was only 6 there. Chef did a great job. Steak at Hasuki was much better than the steak I got at Cagney's. Very good beef, very tender, perfectly cooked, and more food than you could ever finish. I mean, he just kept piling shrimp and chicken and steak on everybody's plates. Fun night, fun entertainment, just a little noisy. We talked about it. We think if we go back to Hasuki on another cruise, we're going to wear our AirPods that have a little bit of noise cancellation built in. So anyway, those were our experiences with the 3 specialty restaurants. Cagney's a thumb down, Sukhothai thumbs up, Hasuki a thumbs up. Now there's some other specialty restaurants, and you should probably watch some other videos because there's a Mexican restaurant, Los Lobos. There's an Italian restaurant, Onda, by Scarpetto. I have no idea what Scarpetto is. I don't even know what Ondo is or Onda. There is a Mediterranean restaurant, Palomar, but it's very seafood forward. We're not big seafood eaters. And there's a sushi restaurant. Now the sushi restaurant's on deck 7. I thought this was a missed opportunity for NCL. We love sushi. I think this should be an a la carte restaurant, but it's like $40 per person. I can't eat $40 worth of sushi. I much prefer the concept that Carnival has with Bonsai, where you just go in, they give you a menu. It's like $6 for a tuna roll, or $8 for this, or $5 for this, and they have a variety of dishes, and you just order a la carte and you just pay for it. I'd much rather have that in a sushi restaurant. To me, that's a better concept. Okay, let's talk about Disembarkation. Actually went very smooth, even though there was no information in our stateroom. The first time I can ever remember on a cruise ship where we didn't get disembarkation information in the stateroom. Usually you get it by the 3rd day, telling you, what your luggage tag is, what time you get off. They usually deliver the luggage tags to your stateroom. We got nothing. There were announcements, but if you're not paying attention, you just miss it. You had to go down to guest services to get your luggage tags off of a rack, and we just picked the latest time so we could stop and have breakfast. We were staying at a hotel in Miami the day we got off the ship, so we were in no hurry to get off. But you just go pick up your own luggage tag. It was a very informal disembarkation. There weren't even announcements the morning of disembarkation. It wasn't, usually they come on and they say, okay, time for red luggage tags to get off and time for pink luggage tag. None of that. We didn't hear any announcements. We were on deck 11, so we got off kind of late, and we were wondering, are we going to be able to get an elevator on disembarkation day? The problem you have is everybody that's above you on deck, they fill up the elevators. They're going down to deck 6 to get off the ship. So you call for an elevator and they're already full. Here's my little insider tip. I'm going to regret giving you this information because now everybody's going to know the secret. There was actually somebody in the elevator lobby that came up with this idea. In fact, it might have been Ricky came up with this idea. Call for an up elevator, not a down. And as the elevator's going up, doors open, elevator's empty. It's going up to pick up people to go back. And now you get in. Yeah, it goes up to 15 or 16, but you're already in. You're already in. So when those people have to get on, they have to get on after you're already in. And then you go down to 6. And it worked perfectly. I can't believe it took 150 cruises for me to figure this out. Overall, disembarkation went very smooth. We didn't have to wait in any long lines. They had the facial recognition at customs or at immigration. So you didn't have to even show your passport. It recognizes you and you get off the ship. Then you go outside, you go to terminal, or you go to B5 if you want to get a Lyft or an Uber. I learned that. Embarkation and disembarkation, NCL figured it out on this ship. It's simple, very fast, very efficient. Good job. Welcome back to Cruise Report NCL Norwegian Aqua. I'm going to give you a rating from 1 to 10 of how we rate all the different areas of the ship as it pertains to adult couples traveling as adults. Okay, I've got my notes here. Ship decor and layout, we're going to say that's a 9. One of the easiest ships to get around, and it's a beautiful ship. You're going to love the ship. Accommodations, we're going to give it 8 out of 10, primarily because of Dominic, our stateroom attendant, was so good. If it hadn't been for him, it probably would have been a 6. Because there was a really bad stain on the carpet, and that knocked it down a point right there. I don't know what got on the carpet, but apparently they couldn't clean it. They should have replaced that carpet. And just again, I don't think the suite was worth the extra money. Wi-Fi, I'm going to rate a 6 out of 10 because I think it was overpriced. Just way too expensive, and I think they should give you multiple devices. I also think the standard Wi-Fi on the free at sea or the more at sea or whatever they decide to call it this week, only 150 minutes of crap Wi-Fi, which all you can really do is text anyway or maybe get some email. They should either be unlimited or they should give you 30 minutes a day or something. Just 150 minutes is ridiculous. I think it's cheesy. So 6 out of 10 on the Wi-Fi. The included dining, I'm going to give a 7 out of 10 because the service was inconsistent in the main dining room. Service was a little inconsistent in the local, had a hard time getting coffee refills. I can't give it higher than 7 out of 10. Food quality, included dining, was all over the place. Some of it was good, some of it was exceptional, and some of it was really average. Okay? Now, as far as specialty dining, I am going to give it 8 out of 10 because of Sukhothai and Hasuki. If it had strictly been up to Cagney's, it would have gotten a 4 or 5 out of 10. That's how disappointed we were in Cagney's. And on the included dining, they got a 7 instead of a 6 or 5 because of the Indulge food hall. I think that being so creative. And the wings in the local. As far as onboard activities like the trivia, the games, the slides, all the stuff going on around the ship, I'm going to say 7 out of 10. I think it was good. Definitely better than average. As far as entertainment, now this I'm lumping production show entertainment in with lounge acts and everything else. 10 out of 10. Entertainment on the Norwegian Aqua was a 10. We never walked out of a show or any entertainment that we felt like wasn't really well done, and sometimes the best we've ever seen. Okay, as far as the crew and the service, we're going to give it an 8 out of 10. And the reason it's not a 10 out of 10 is because there were some inconsistencies. In the bars, there was inconsistencies in the restaurants. There were now the specialty restaurants, the service was always good in the specialty. Even in Cagney's, the service was very good. Just the food quality wasn't that good. But the service in the bars was haphazard. The service at the main dining room was haphazard. The service in the local was haphazard. Sometimes really good. They were all nice. Everybody was very pleasant. We didn't have anybody rude. It wasn't that. It was just, I think it's a training issue. It felt like some of the crew members might have been new and not very well trained. That's just the way it felt. Is Norwegian Aqua a good ship for adult couples? That's how we started the video. That's how we're going to end the video. I'm going to say yes, with a couple of caveats. There were quite a few kids on our cruise. They have enough programs on board for kids. I think it keeps them preoccupied. A couple of times I heard kids running up and down the hall, but not bad. So I would say it's still a good ship for adult couples because the decor of the ship, it's a very mature feeling ship. It doesn't feel like a lot of glitz and bright lights and flashing lights and gold and bronze and crystal and everything. Not like an MSC ship. MSC ship feels like a family ship. Royal Caribbean feels like a family ship. Carnival feels like a family ship. This felt like an adult ship that you could bring your kids on if you wanted to, but I didn't feel like the kids got in my way of having a good time. So I would say yes, if you're looking for a ship in that 3,500 passenger range. We enjoyed it. We're going to go back on another NCL Prima-class or Viva-class or whatever the hell class it is. And we are going to go again. Now, If you are an adult couple and you really don't want to be around kids at all, you probably want to consider the Haven or at least the Vibe Beach Club if you want to lay out in the sun and not be bothered by kids at all. Pay the extra money for the Vibe Beach Club. So they do have facilities to really cater more to adults on this ship than they do on some other ships. So anyway, that's my review of Norwegian Aqua. Please put in the comments down. I know it's been long. I appreciate you hanging around for all this. Please put in the comments down below what you thought. Have you sailed on this ship? Have you sailed on Prima or Viva? Let me know in the comments. What do you agree with? What do you disagree with? Let me know in the comments. I read every comment. I usually respond to the comments if I can. If you enjoyed this video, do me a favor, please give it a thumbs up. That really does help my YouTube rankings. Thanks for sticking it out through this long review. If you want to see a full walkthrough of our forward-facing club balcony suite with extra large balcony up here in the corner, I'll put that up next.